"Your cooking is absolute garbage," my mother-in-law Eleanor Whitfield announced at Thanksgiving dinner, dropping her fork onto the hand-painted porcelain plate with theatrical disgust. The 28 assembled relatives fell silent as she pushed away the plate containing my molecular gastronomy interpretation of traditional turkey and stuffing, unaware that just 6 hours ago, I'd received confirmation that would transform this humiliation into vindication. But first, I had to survive this meal without revealing that tomorrow morning's announcement would expose 12 years of her culinary cruelty. "No wonder you're not a real chef," Eleanor continued, her voice carrying that particular brand of Connecticut privilege that could make even compliments sound condescending. "Real chefs have restaurants. They have staff. They don't play with food in their home kitchens like children with chemistry sets." "You're entitled to your opinion," I smiled, carefully maintaining the composure I'd perfected over years of family dinners. My husband Christopher sat beside me, studying his wine glass with the intensity of someone hoping to disappear into the Pinot Noir. "It's not opinion, dear, it's fact," Eleanor declared, gesturing at the feast I'd spent 4 days preparing. "This, foam? Gel? Whatever these textures are supposed to be? This isn't food. It's a science experiment gone wrong." My sister-in-law Patricia nodded eagerly from across the table. "Remember when Mom used to cook Thanksgiving? Everything from her mother's recipes. Simple, traditional, perfect. That's what real cooking looks like." Simple, I repeated, thinking of Eleanor's idea of cooking, opening cans of cranberry sauce, buying pre-stuffed turkey from the country club, and claiming her famous green beans were a family recipe when everyone knew they came from the French laundry cookbook she never opened past page 1. Yes, simple. Elegant. Not this pretentious molecular whatever you call it, Eleanor waved dismissively at the cranberry pearls I'd spent hours perfecting. "Honestly, Grace, I don't know why you waste your time. You could be doing something meaningful with your life." "Cooking isn't meaningful?" I asked quietly. "Not the way you do it. Locked away in that kitchen all day, spending Christopher's money on gadgets and ingredients no normal person has heard of. Liquid nitrogen? Seriously? What's next? A particle accelerator for the perfect souffle?" The table laughed. Christopher's cousins, his aunts and uncles, even Patricia's teenage children. All of them enjoying their third and fourth helpings of my garbage, while mocking the woman who created it. "Mom, maybe we should," Christopher started weakly. "Don't enable her, Christopher," Eleanor cut him off. "Someone needs to give her a reality check. She's been playing this game for too long." "What game is that?" I asked, setting down my napkin. "This fantasy that you're some kind of culinary artist. The Instagram posts, the food blog nobody reads, that ridiculous supper club you started. 20 people once a month? That's not a business, it's a hobby. And not even a profitable one." If only she knew. My hobby had a 3-year waiting list. Those 20 people paid $1,500 per seat. Food critics begged for invitations under assumed names. But I'd kept it all quiet, building my reputation in the shadows while Eleanor held court at her charity luncheons. "You're right," I said. 20 people isn't very many. Finally, some sense. Maybe you can give this up and do what Patricia did. Join the junior league, contribute to society. Stop embarrassing Christopher with this obsession." "Embarrassing," I echoed, feeling the weight of 12 years of similar dinners. 12 years of Eleanor's systematic destruction of my confidence. 12 years of Christopher's silence. Yes, embarrassing. Do you know what people say at the club? Poor Eleanor, with that daughter-in-law who thinks she's Julia Child. It's mortifying. Julia Child was a home cook who became famous, Christopher's father Robert interjected mildly, earning a glare from his wife. Julia Child had personality. She had presence. She wasn't hiding in her kitchen playing with foam. I stood up. "Excuse me. I need to check on dessert." "Let me guess," Eleanor called after me, "deconstructed pumpkin pie? Thanksgiving tradition turned into abstract art." I escaped to my kitchen, my sanctuary. The professional-grade equipment gleamed under the lights, the immersion circulators for sous vide, the ultrasonic bath, the centrifuge I'd saved for 2 years to buy. This wasn't a hobby kitchen. This was a laboratory where I'd pushed the boundaries of what food could be. My phone sat on the counter where I'd left it, face down. I knew there would be messages. Confirmations. Congratulations. The embargo would lift at 9 a.m. tomorrow, but the food world's inner circle already knew. "Grace?" I turned to find Robert in the doorway, looking apologetic. "I'm sorry about Eleanor," he said quietly. "She's threatened by you." "Threatened? By what?" "My garbage cooking." He smiled sadly. "By your passion. Your talent. The fact that you've built something she never could, an identity beyond being Mrs. Whitfield. She doesn't have to tear me down to build herself up. No, but it's easier than admitting she's wasted 60 years being nothing but a society wife." He paused. The food is extraordinary, by the way. I know what molecular gastronomy is, even if I pretend not to. That turkey was the best thing I've ever eaten. Thank you. Can I ask you something? Why do you hide it? The success, I mean. I have friends in the city who've been trying to get into your supper club for years. They don't know it's you, but I figured it out. The underground table, that's yours, isn't it? I nodded. 3-year waiting list. Reviews that make it sound like a religious experience. And you let Eleanor call it garbage? Because tomorrow, I stopped. Because it doesn't matter what she thinks. Doesn't it? Before I could answer, Eleanor's voice carried from the dining room, "Where's dessert? Or is she in there crying because someone finally told her the truth?" Robert sighed. Better get back before she sends a search party. I followed him out, carrying the dessert, a deconstructed pumpkin pie that looked like autumn on a plate, spiced pumpkin mousse, ginger snap soil, candied pecans, cinnamon glass, and yes, foam. Maple bourbon foam that would dissolve on the tongue like sweet air. "Oh good lord," Eleanor said when she saw it. "It looks like someone dropped a pie and tried to make it artistic." "It's beautiful," said a small voice. Christopher's nephew, 10-year-old James, stared at the plate with wonder. "It looks like fall leaves." "Don't encourage her, James," Eleanor snapped. "Eat it if you must, but remember what real pie looks like." They ate it. Every last crumb, every drop of foam, every shard of cinnamon glass. Plates scraped clean while Eleanor maintained her critique. "Texture is all wrong," she said, licking maple foam from her spoon. "Too light. Pie should be substantial." "Agreed," I said, clearing plates. "I'll make note of that." "Are you being sarcastic with me?" "Never, Eleanor." "Good. Because I'm trying to help you. Someone has to." She stood, smoothing her designer dress. "Now, who wants real coffee? Not whatever artisanal nonsense Grace probably has planned." They migrated to the living room, leaving me with the dishes. Christopher lingered, looking like he wanted to say something. "Your mother's right," I said before he could speak. "This is embarrassing." His shoulders sagged with relief. "I'm glad you finally see. I'm embarrassing you. This marriage is embarrassing you. Having a wife who loves what she does, who's passionate about creating something beautiful, that embarrasses you." "That's not what I meant. Isn't it? 12 years, Chris. 12 years of your mother calling my life's work garbage, and you've never once defended me." "She's my mother. And I'm your wife. Or I was supposed to be." He left me with the dishes. I cleaned mechanically, thinking about tomorrow. About the announcement that would shake the culinary world. About the decision I'd already made but hadn't voiced. At exactly 9:03 a.m. the next morning, my phone exploded. I was sitting in my kitchen, watching Eleanor's Mercedes pull into our driveway for her traditional post-Thanksgiving breakfast critique, when the first call came. "Chef Williams? This is Jonathan Gold from the LA Times. I wanted to be the first to congratulate you on your 3rd Michelin star. This is unprecedented, a home kitchen receiving the highest honor in gastronomy." "Thank you," I said, watching Eleanor march toward my front door. "The fact that you've maintained complete anonymity while achieving this. The underground table is already legendary, but this will cement your place in culinary history. When can we schedule an interview? Can I call you back? I'm about to have a family moment." "Of course. But Chef Williams? Don't wait too long. Every food publication in the world is going to want this story." Eleanor didn't knock, she never did. She swept in using the key Christopher had given her, already mid-sentence. "Cannot believe you served foam to my book club president." "Foam, Grace? The woman runs a food blog with 500,000 followers. Can you imagine what she'll write?" "Good morning, Eleanor," I said, pouring coffee, the real kind, not the instant she assumed I served. "Don't good morning me. I've been doing damage control all morning." "Do you have any idea?" She stopped, noticing my phone lighting up with constant notifications. "What's that about?" "Oh, probably nothing," I said as the New York Times called. Then the Food Network. Then Bon Appetit. "That's a lot of nothing," Robert said, following his wife in. He gave me a knowing look. My phone rang again. This time, I answered on speaker. "Grace Williams? This is Jean-Michel Bertrand from the Guide Michelin. I'm calling to personally congratulate you on your 3rd star. In our entire history, we have never awarded 3 stars to a chef operating outside a traditional restaurant. You have revolutionized what fine dining can be." Eleanor's coffee cup slipped from her hand, shattering on my Italian marble floor. 3 stars, she whispered. Additionally, Jean-Michel continued, unaware of his audience, "We would like to feature the underground table in our global campaign. Your story, the mystique, the exclusivity, the extraordinary cuisine, it represents everything Michelin stands for." "I'll consider it," I said. "Thank you for calling." I hung up. The silence stretched like spun sugar. "That's impossible," Eleanor finally said. "You cook in a house. You serve 20 people. You make foam. Yes, I agreed. I do all of those things. But, Michelin, 3 stars? She sank into a chair. The French Laundry has 3 stars. Le Bernardin has 3 stars. You can't what? Can't be at their level because I'm not a real chef? Because I work from home? Because you've spent 12 years telling me I'm playing at being something I'm not? Christopher rushed in, still in his pajamas. Mom? I heard something break. Your wife has 3 Michelin stars, Robert said quietly. Your wife is one of the most acclaimed chefs in America, and we've been eating her food while calling it garbage. That can't be. Christopher looked at me. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? Would Eleanor suddenly have respected me? Would you have defended me? Or would you have found new ways to diminish it? My phone rang again. Thomas Keller. I sent him to voicemail. I need to sit down, Eleanor said, though she was already sitting. The underground table, Patricia said from the doorway, having arrived for breakfast. Oh my God. You're the underground table. I've been on the waiting list for 3 years. I've begged friends for their reservations. She stopped. I ate there. Last year. My friend got divorced and gave me her reservation. It was the best meal of my life. Thank you, I said simply. But I didn't know it was you. You were in the kitchen, and we never saw. How did I not recognize? Because you weren't looking for me. You were looking for someone who matched your idea of what a 3-star chef should be. Eleanor stood abruptly. I need to leave. Eleanor, Robert started. No. I need to think. I need to. She looked at me, and for the first time in 12 years, I saw fear in her eyes. What you must think of me. I think you're someone who mistakes cruelty for honesty and tradition for excellence. I think you're threatened by anyone who doesn't fit your narrow definition of success. And I think you spent so long tearing others down that you forgotten how to build anything yourself. She fled. Actually ran from my kitchen, leaving her Hermes bag behind. Grace, Christopher said weakly. We need to talk. We did talk. For 12 years. Or rather, your mother talked, and you let her. I'm done talking. What does that mean? It means I'm taking the Michelin Guide up on their offer. It means the underground table is about to become a lot less underground. And it means you need to decide whether you remarried to me or to your mother's opinion of me. My phone buzzed with a text from my lawyer. The divorce papers I'd asked him to prepare months ago were ready whenever I was. You're leaving me? Christopher asked. You left me years ago. Every time you stayed silent when she called my work garbage. Every time you agreed that I was wasting my life. Every time you were embarrassed by my passion instead of proud of it. But I didn't know. That's the point. You didn't know because you didn't care to know. Because it was easier to believe her version of me than to see who I really was. He had nothing to say to that. Over the next weeks, the food world lost its collective mind. The mysterious underground table chef revealed. The home cook who'd achieved the impossible. The woman who'd turned molecular gastronomy into high art while her family called it garbage. Eleanor tried to control the narrative, of course. Suddenly, she was telling everyone about her brilliant daughter-in-law, whom she'd always supported. Tough love, she called it in a desperate Facebook post. I pushed her to achieve greatness. No one believed her. Especially not after food bloggers started sharing stories about Eleanor Whitfield, who'd spent years at charity dinners mocking people who think foam is food. Christopher and I divorced quietly. He couldn't handle being Mr. 3 stars, couldn't accept that I'd been extraordinary all along and he'd been too weak to see it. I kept the house and transformed it into what it had always truly been, a restaurant. 20 seats, 1 seating per night, $2,500 per person. The waiting list stretched to 5 years within a week of the announcement. Eleanor never apologized. But I heard from Robert that she'd stopped cooking entirely, couldn't even look at food without remembering. She ate takeout alone most nights, too ashamed to show her face at the country club where everyone now knew she called a 3-star chef's food garbage. On the first anniversary of that Thanksgiving, I served cranberry foam to a table of food critics from around the world. They called it transcendent, revolutionary, a meditation on memory and tradition. I called it Vindication. Because the best revenge isn't serving cold dishes, it's serving perfect ones to people who understand their value, while those who called them garbage eat alone, knowing exactly what they threw away. My cooking was never garbage. But their opinions? Those we can throw away without a second thought.